What if you could build a business that gives you the life of freedom you deserve? What if you could find the secrets to marketing, leadership, customer service, and other aspects of business that help you exceed your goals? What if you could walk away from your business for 30 days and it never misses a beat? That's what this podcast is for, to help business leaders like you find freedom from the day-to-day grind and start spending your time doing the things you love. I'm Levi McClendon, and my co-host is Josh Taylor, and this is the Cheers to Freedom podcast.
Welcome to the Cheers to Freedom podcast. I am Josh Taylor, and I am with my co-host Levi McClendon. Levi, you going all black today?
I am going all black, man. I thought people might get tired of always seeing ObSpot. I don't know. It's branding thing. Right, yeah. So I just went all black.
Yeah, I like it. My wife tells me I wear black too much, but it's slimming.
My kids tell me that a lot too. They're like, Dad, it's either like black or white. I'm like, that's not, I don't know. Don't have to think about it. It's black and white. It's easy. It goes with everything.
Well, hey, we just got back from the Southwest show. Thoughts? How was it?
Oh, man, I don't know. Every time I go to these shows, I get more and more out of it. And this time we were there with the Jeremy and I went in a couple days early, and we were part of the we joined the N1 buying group. So if you haven't heard about that, you may want to look into that. But it was awesome. So we spent a couple days with that group of amazing people, and then obviously had you guys joined us, and we had the show time, and got to talk to a lot of people too about building a story brand. Gave away the books, so got to engage with a bunch of our existing customers, which to me is probably, Josh, my favorite thing to do. Yep. Is just meet the guys that we're talking to all the time. So even if we didn't bring in any new business, I always say these are amazing events because we just get to engage with guys that we connect with, and just had a really good time. What did you think? It's your second show. What did you think of that?
I was looking forward to it because I knew it would probably be similar to the ICA show that we went to in Vegas. Obviously, not quite as many people there, but like what you said, connecting with a lot of our customers, that is so much fun. I mean, we have just the coolest. This industry just has some of the coolest people in it, and it's just so much fun to connect with them. It's so much fun to talk shop and ideas and all this stuff.
Well, it's fun to ride buses with them, right? Apparently, I did see your post there with.
Yeah, if you didn't see my post on
Talk
Car Wash, somebody connected their phone to the bus's Bluetooth and started playing NSYNC, and so the whole bus got singing, and that was after what was it, Billy Bob's? Yeah,
We were at Billy Bob's, yeah.
So that was leaving Billy Bob's and going to the piano bar. And so it was interesting. I'm not a late person, so I skipped the piano bar, and I was the only person in the bus being dropped off at the hotel. So everybody got off, and I'm riding the bus by myself to the hotel. So it's just me and the bus
pretty
driver.
Awesome. Well, super fun, and for all those we got to connect with out there that are listening to this, thank you just for being a part of this, man. It's we just had a blast. So cool people in the space. So
yeah, very cool.
I feel blessed.
Well, let's continue through. We're talking through the StoryBrand framework, and obviously, if you haven't been listening, listen to the last two episodes. We give an overview in episode 11, and then last week's episode 12, we talk about the first step of the StoryBrand framework, which has 7 steps. And so we're getting into the second one. And to me, this is probably the most important step. You've got to get this step right, and it's talking about your customers' problems. And so we're going to dive into this because there's really 3 levels of problems that you want to solve. And Levi, you and I hear all the time from people, we want to be the Chick-fil-A of car washes. And if it's not Chick-fil-A, if you're out in California or something like that, it's the In-N-Out of car washes. And this right here is where Chick-fil-A separates themselves from everyone else in the competition. This right here, because Chick-fil-A can get this part of the process right, they do more in 6 days per store than Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King combined in 7 days. So they do more revenue than those 3 combined because they figured this part out right here. So we're going to jump into it.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. I have a question for you real quick. Do you feel that this is throwing this out there, you're not prepared for this, but do you feel like we are by any means overcomplicating the process? Okay. No. Do people, and that's a quick answer, and I agree with you, but I feel that this is super important because as we look at what we're going to discuss today, and so we are going to go over the problem, right? So last time we talked about the character who wants something. So we really dove into who that person is, who your customer is. And this week we're going to talk about the problem. Okay. So Josh is going to hit on the problem for us here. But I feel like there's a part of me that I'm like, okay, this is simple. You have a person who has a dirty car that needs it washed.
Right.
Are we overthinking this? And your answer quickly is no, but tell us why. Why do you feel that we're not overthinking this and that we need to really dive into and understand the problem of our customers? What is the problem, Josh?
So the answer is found in the process that we're talking about today. So if we're overcomplicating it and all it is that your customer needs their car washed, well, then why should they choose you versus the car wash down the street? You guys solve the same problem. That's the external problem. So we talk about the problem. We talk about the 3 levels of problem: external, internal, and philosophical problem.
So real quick, Josh, if you haven't read the book, not everyone has, right? There are 3 stages, I will say about the problem. There's 3 things with the problem, like Josh just said, just so you know. The external, right? The external, everyone needs a car wash. The internal, problem, which Josh will get into. And then the philosophical. And I will tell you, Josh, that's always a challenge for me too, is that philosophical. And not everybody even thinks about that. And I never really thought about that prior to me reading the book and really digging into it. It's like, what is the philosophical problem? So I just wanted to recap for those who haven't heard that there are 3 levels of problems that Josh is going to hit today. So number 1 is the external. So
external problem. And that, what you said, and the reason you're bringing that up is we did get some feedback from people that have not read the StoryBrand framework. They've heard a little bit about it and they said, well, maybe that's just taking it too complicated. Well, that's the same line of thinking that Burger King has, because Burger King has stopped at the external problem. Burger King and Chick-fil-A solve the same external problem. The external problem is I need to eat. I need food. And that's where Burger King stopped. And that's where a lot of car washes stop. People need their car cleaned. Well, that's the same external problem that all of your competitors solve. We get your car cleaned. Chick-fil-A took it a step further and they went into the internal problem. Now, the external problem is that simple. It needs to be that simple. We don't need to overcomplicate what the external problem is. People need their car cleaned. People need to eat at Chick-fil-A. People need to eat at Burger King. Chick-fil-A took it a step further and they went into the internal problem. And that internal problem is how I feel. When I walk into a Burger King, I feel very different than when I walk into a Chick-fil-A. Most of the time, now there have been a few exceptions with, Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's where I've walked in and it's, the standards have been there. But most of the time we know we're going to walk in and we really are just there because, we're in a hurry or it's convenient or we're just craving a Whopper. But most of the time when we walk in, it doesn't feel very clean. I don't want to be there. The person behind the counter doesn't want to be there. We just don't feel really great. But you walk into a Chick-fil-A, you consistently get that top-notch service. And I'll be honest, I've been into a Chick-fil-A or 2 where I didn't get that service and it was very unexpected. And it stood out,
right.
I remember those times where I walk into a Burger King. The times I remember is when I get exceptional service because I don't expect that.
I was going to say it's probably reversed with Burger King. When you have this high level of service, you remember that too, because it's not what was expected.
Exactly.
But Chick-fil-A has created an expectation when you walk in. You expect this level of service, and now if you don't get it, that is actually odd. Yeah, it's
super clean. The employees are polite. They say my pleasure. The bathrooms are clean. You feel I would say this Chick-fil-A is probably not any healthier than Burger King, but you feel like it is just because of the service. Like In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger is the same way. I've been to a couple of In-N-Out Burgers. We don't have them here in the east side of the country very much, but I've been into a few, and it's very similar. It's clean. It's a simple menu. It's not any healthier than anything else, but you feel better when you're there. And
it's consistent.
The internal problem.
And every time you go there, you get the same thing. And I think that's something also that's important in any business, especially with multi-locations. And when I come back, what is that consistency? What is that level I'm going to get? And to this day, my kids, we now live in Florida where there's not a lot of In-N-Outs down here in the Panhandle. Actually, I don't know if there are any, but my kids, every time we go back to Arizona, In-N-Out, like that is that's their jam. They love In-N-Out. And I'm like, my burgers, I make a really good burger on the Traeger. Like, and they're like,
But
Dad,
do you
that's
give
really
the
good.
service that In-N-Out does?
But In-N-Out. I'm like, really? Like those patties?
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
but they have created that consistency, and my kids absolutely,
Yeah.
and I love it. I mean, it is great. So
they go and they solve that internal problem.
Yeah.
And that to me is the key. If you're solving the same external problem as your competitors, which most likely you are, then you've got to take it a step further and say, okay, can we make our customers feel better when they're here than the way that they feel when they go somewhere else? We want them to come here because of the feeling that they have. Your customers, they come to you to solve their external problem, but they buy from you, and they'll continue to show up if you can solve their internal problem, if you can get rid of that feeling that they have. And you've got to figure out what that feeling is that they have when they go to a car wash.
So let's talk about that. As car wash, restaurant's pretty easy for me. You've made a great example. We all know Chick-fil-A and Burger King and these and In-N-Out, car wash space. So what is the internal, and how do I differentiate myself as a business owner from one wash to another?
So this might be a little bit controversial, but that's what we do, is we want to look at things from a different perspective. But I don't think that most customers want to feel like they're being sold to every time they show up at a car wash. And and so when I go to a car wash, I feel like I'm just constantly being pushed to buy an unlimited membership, and people hate being sold to.
Mm-hmm.
And it works out for some car washes, and some car washes can do it, and they do it well. But for the most part, I don't feel like customers want that. They want to feel happy. They want to enjoy the experience. Maybe they want to go through the tunnel and feel like that's finally a chance for them to take their hands off the wheel and relax for a minute. They want to feel like they're not being nickel and dimed every time that they need something, whether it's paying for a vacuum cleaner, or paying for a towel, or paying for air, whatever it might be. And so the more amenities that you can give people to make them feel like they're getting a lot of value from their wash, the better. But it really is, from the moment they drive into your lot to the moment that they leave. Look around at everything that you see. How do our signs make people feel? How does the experience of paying for the wash make people feel? How does the experience of going through the tunnel make people feel? How does the experience in the vacuum bays make people feel? You need to look around and look at, how does this experience how do the conversations with our employees make them feel? How does the way our employees dress make them feel? I mean, it's details like that that begin to separate you from, you look at Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A is known, their employees are known for saying "my pleasure." Well, Chick-fil-A didn't come up with that. In fact, Truett Cathy admits he stole that from Howard Schultz from the Ritz-Carlton, because he was doing some consulting with at the Ritz-Carlton, and Howard Schultz said, "You need to come up with your version of "my pleasure." And Truett Cathy said, "I'm just going to use that.
I'm just going to use it."
And Chick-fil-A,
you don't own that.
Just exactly. And the detail that Chick-fil-A has put into how they make their customers feel matters, and it's what separates them from everyone else. And that's what your car wash needs to do as well.
Can that internal be cost? It could be price. Is that, when I come through the wash, I will just, and the reason I ask that, I think of In-N-Out. Now, a lot of you guys know I have a big family, right? So when I am going to eat, it's,
take out a mortgage every time y'all go out to eat.
Exactly. I know when I go through In-N-Out, especially, the bang for the buck, there's not a comparison. I mean, if I go there versus a Five Guys, and Five Guys is better in my opinion, I go to In-N-Out because I get good value. It's not amazing. It's not my Traeger burgers. It's not Five Guys, but I'll tell you, it is half the price. So that, yes, it's the externals, I'm hungry, I need to feed me and my family, but the internals, I'm getting good bang for my buck, and I will go there every time. How does that relate to the car wash or other business?
Yeah, I think it's the value. It's showing the value that you're getting from people, and so if I'm going to pay $25 for a wash, I probably don't want to have to pay for something else added onto it that I feel like I should get. And so people need to be, they need to feel like they are getting what they deserve in the wash that they're paying for. If I'm going to get a $3 wash, I'm not expecting much on top of that. But if I'm going to pay $20, $25 for a car wash, I have more expectation.
Expectations.
And it's not just what amenities am I going to get.
Mhm.
That should obviously be included and should be communicated to me. But the whole experience, like if I'm going to pay $25 for a wash, I feel like that's a pretty premium wash. Your employees should look pretty premium, like the way they dress, the way they smile at me, the way that they treat me. And if I'm paying $25 for a wash, I probably don't want to be upsold something else.
Right. Should just be included.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And you need to be careful about upselling when you're a more premium wash, because that is the feeling that people, maybe you do have some upsells, but you've got to be aware, and self-awareness for a business is a big deal too. Like the people paying $25 for a wash, we probably need to be careful about how we upsell, and we probably don't always need to be so upfront in their face.
Yeah. And it depends on the region where they're at and the cost and what they're used to paying.
Right.
But I think comes back to that expectation. If that's consistent, what they're going to get with that wash. And then as the wash owner, you have to decide, are we a premium car wash? Are we a value car wash? And then stick to that. Because we talked about last time, trying to be everything to everybody. Sometimes it doesn't work out. There might be regions, areas, there's anomalies out there that you can be, because it's the only thing in town. But when you have competition and there's people close by, figure out who you are and then be really good at that. And there's plenty of business, right, in those lanes. And I talked a little bit about Quick Trip last time too. And I love that example, because that to me is that expectation. Not only is Quick Trip fast, I mean, QT, it's Quick Trip. That's who they are. That's what they're known for. They're also clean. Like I love going to, if I can see a Quick Trip somewhere, I go, it's fast, it's clean. I can get my cup of coffee, be out of there in a minute, versus waiting in a line and taking the time. But anyway, I don't want to go down that path too far, but anyway.
Yeah. So the last one that we want to talk about, and that we said there's 3 levels of problems. We've got the external, we've got the internal. We just harped on the internal, and I really do think that internal is really where you begin to separate yourself. But then you can take it a step further, and Chick-fil-A took it to a third step, and this is a third step in the StoryBrand framework. It's the third level of problems is the philosophical problem. This is the good versus evil. This is, remember we talked about last week, your customer is the hero of the story. So this is where you help them win. This is where you become an advocate for your customer. And so these statements usually start with "we believe," or "you should," or "you deserve." And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. You asked earlier, struggling with where does the philosophical problem fit, especially with car washes, because it's a car wash. Well, the way that Chick-fil-A has done it, and then we'll use a car wash as an example, is, not only do we want you to feel great, obviously we want you to get food. That's the external problem. We want you to feel great when you come in here, so everything's going to be clean, and our employees are going to be kind, and those kind of things. But you deserve, the philosophical problem is, you deserve to do business that has good values, that takes care of their employees, that does some great things in the community. You deserve to be able to do business with a company that shares your values. And so, Chick-fil-A has been kind of, there's been some polarizing media with Chick-fil-A over the last, but the people, like their customers, Chick-fil-A doesn't have to defend themselves because their customers do.
Yeah.
Like they've built raving fans because of that philosophical problem. They share the values with their customers, and so their customers come to their defense. And when you do that and you get negative reviews online, or you get people talking bad about you on Facebook, when you have aligned yourself with your customers and their values, they come to your defense, so you don't have to. And that's the most powerful marketing that you can have, is when your customers start sticking up for you. And go ahead.
I was going to say, can you give me an example, Josh, of a wash that's doing that now, or one? I know we talk a lot about Chick-fil-A, and you said you'd get to that with the wash, but how can a car wash do that? Because again, when I first think about this in anything, that's probably one of the most challenging. I think we're so used to the external, like we solve this problem, this, clean car, or whatever the business is that you're doing. But give me an example of a car wash that satisfies the philosophical need that a customer needs.
So you and I have done, we've been able to do these on sites with several different car washes right now. And the most recent one that we did, we went to our friend JJ and worked with him. And I think his is a great example all the ones that we've worked with have come up with great philosophical problems because that's what we work through with them. His is the most fresh in my mind, and I think it's the most clear example that we can use. With the philosophical problem, a way to look at it is, um, what can you do to make the industry better? Like whatever industry you're in. We're talking to a lot of car wash owners right now, but it really doesn't matter whether you're in healthcare or food or whatever. What's wrong with the industry, and how can your business fix it? Now you become an advocate for your customers to change what's wrong with the industry. Now you're mission based. So with JJ's Car Wash, they really came around this messaging of caring for the customers. Your car wash should really care. Like, they should make you feel like they care about you and the experience that you have, you getting the value that you have, and you getting the results that you expect. Because they felt like there were a lot of people that were just kind of going through car washes and didn't feel like anybody really cared. The attendant didn't feel like, it felt like they were inconveniencing the attendant when they showed up. Nobody came and talked to them. Nobody, would take care of their problems if there was an issue through the tunnel, whatever it might be. And so JJ said, you know what, we want to change that, that reputation that the industry might have, or at least maybe in our area, and say, you deserve to go and have a car wash experience that makes you feel like you have been cared for.
Yeah.
And that's where you become an advocate for your customer.
What I've realized, and I've learned personally in this, is that once you find out what that is, it's easy to rally your team around that. Absolutely. I think when people come on board, like even for me and my company, our mission right now is to make the car wash owners' lives easier. Like literally, that's our job. And there's a lot of things that we do to do that, right? Like there's, a ton of things that we do to make their lives easier. But ultimately, I can ask my staff, I can say, Drew or Austin, or even Josh, did you do your job today? And that isn't the nitty gritty down. Did you send an email? Did you respond? Did you whatever? Did you make the life of a car wash owner easier today? The answer is 99% of the time it's yes, because we do things to make that happen, and we do it with a smile, and we do it because we're passionate about it. And it was really cool with JJ and his team to see them, again, it's not just, hey, I'm prepping, or I'm helping in the vacuum area, or whatever. I am making customers feel cared for today. So he can now rally them and say, listen, this is our mission. This is the vision of JJ's, is to make every single person who comes to our wash feel cared for. By doing your job, it's going to be a byproduct of that, correct? But how do you take that extra step? To smile, to ask them what they need, to get something for them, to be available. And I think that was something they were able to rally around, just like Marvel was with Happy. They came up with this, they just want to make everyone happy today. Like people don't always have a good day. Things are not always going perfectly in somebody's day. So their rally cry is to make them happy. When somebody comes on our lot today, our job, our vision, our mission is that they leave the lot happier than when they came onto our lot. And boom, you have a happiness guarantee that they launched, and JJ's has a guarantee now. And those are what their teams are able to rally around. And so that philosophical really has come alive. And I think that's where, going back to my original question, is, are we complicating this? And I think when you really, and you just said this, when you really dig into the external, and really the internal, and then that philosophical, I think people's eyes are going to be opened and say, you know what, that's how we separate ourselves from the competition. And that's how my team, there's a bigger purpose, right? Than just I wash cars. No, you change people's lives. I know that sounds kind of strange in the car wash business. You can change people's lives every single day just by caring. And that's what we're encouraging our owners and car washes and people we work with to do. So
yeah, absolutely. If you just stop at the external problem and not do the work to get to that internal and that philosophical problem, then you're going to compete with your competitors on all the external things, which means it comes down to price, or it comes down to convenience of your location. And we know that that's not always what we want to compete on, because you may not have the cheapest prices, or you may not be the most convenient location to get to. You want to go after that internal and external problem so that you can become a place where people will go out of their way and feel like they're getting more value because of those internal things. And honestly, I think they are, because we like self-improvement, we like self-care, and I don't want to go to a place that it might be the cheapest, but it puts me in a bad mood because the experience was horrible.
Yeah.
And so, that's a great way to invest in your customers. And like you just said, when you identify that philosophical problem, now your prep guys, to your pay station guys, to your managers, to your maintenance guy, they all have the same mission. Whatever that mission is. For JJ, it's to make our customers feel like they have been cared for today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, Josh, this has been really good. I really appreciate your time, and obviously it's been eye-opening to me and to OpSpot and kind of the direction that we're going. So thanks for bringing this to the table. What do we have for what's the next step?
So we're going to get into the guide. How do we position ourselves as the guide? And there's two ways that you do that. And one of those ways is, I think, where businesses miss out the most. And so we're going to talk about that.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. If you're listening to this podcast and you like it, please make sure to follow us, share it with friends, family, people you know. We certainly appreciate that. So, Josh, again, thanks for taking us down this path. I'm excited to continue forward with this. And until next time, everyone,
cheers.
Cheers. All right, we'll see you.